Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we're going to look at if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device. This is podcast episode 1, because apparently they started on 0. Yeah, that's a thing. Just go and roll with it. This is the last church. I thought this was like a really religious time in 40K, so I'm not really sure what they mean. Because there's a lot of churches, like there's entire planets devoted to cathedrals. There are cathedral worlds. Ecclesiarchal worlds, yeah, it's all the same thing at this point. Literally all the same thing. Just last church? I'm just kind of curious about this. Unless this is the last church on Earth before the Great Crusade. I was going to say Horus Heresy, but that's different. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what we're getting into. I do know the podcasts they're cut down on animation, but they are ramped up in character interaction jokes. And if we're going to get more of the Dornian heresy, which came up at the last podcast, it was Taco Tuesday. No, it's Taco Friday. Embrace the truth. You know it to be true. Dorn, I am your father. Yes, I knew that. Come on, someone had to think it. I'm a little hyped up on coffee right now, so let's just get into it while the buzz is going. There is a link down below to the original video. You guys know the drill. Hit it up. Let's get started.
Warning. This video contains spoilers for The Last Church by Graham McNeil.
Oh, it's a church!
You read or listen to it before going on. If not, you might miss out on important information like the color of Uriah's pants or whatever. Thank you.
Did I just say it's a church? I just said it's a church. It's a book. Okay, that makes a little more sense then. So they're actually basically doing a podcast review of an actual book. Oh. I'll probably actually, read the book itself later.
Denizens of the Imperial Palace and beyond, this Voxcast publique is
Sorry, podcast. It's supposed to be a Voxcast. Keep making that mistake.
Continue your operations, but listen.
What if they got to record the voice of the announcer? I should read the credits.
Announcement. Thought for the day. Use your 2 Emperor-given ears to listen. To listen using any other organ is heresy.
And painful. Also, anyone who could do it would probably actually be a heretic, so accurate.
Overlord. That works.
Yes, you got my
Oh god, all 3 of the Striptodies are here. And little Vox boy.
Greetings, citizens. Welcome to this Voxcast publique, broadcast through VoxLink for the over 10 billion indentured servants in and around
At least they're calling them what they are.
majesty of the Imperial Palace.
The
This
phallic
Voxcast
majesty.
is brought
Oh
to you
god,
by
did Dorn
the
design it
cult
to look like an actual...
Mechanicus of
I'm not going to
Mars,
ask. I might actually get a picture.
Administratum, the Adeptus Astra Telepathica, as well as the Emperor's 10,000, the Adeptus Custodes, one of whom is I.
As well as I. Salutations to you, loyal Emperor lovers across the entire Imperium. It is an honor to be here, speaking directly to you in the name of our glorious overlord.
Every time they say this,
Greetings.
anything.
I, too, am among the rank and file of the Emperor's personal guard. A pleasure as always, dear listeners.
I am not. I am an Imperial priest. My wall name is adorable, and you shall
He's
refer
doing
to
it
me as
again!
such.
Still don't entirely get why, but as you wish.
I wonder why the Emperor isn't here.
Amongst us is also a Voxheller serf, whom we have named Boy. Say hello, Boy.
Hi.
Oh my god, they're keeping the box name.
Vox Sailor Surf. I hold the Vox Sailor. That's my purpose.
Did you really have to introduce that thing?
God, they're such
Just here to hold
assholes.
the Voxhaler.
Anyone ever notice how pale the boy is?
Yes, if we poured oil on him.
Okay, this is going really bad really fast.
Make a good night light.
What the?
Them and oil,
Enter
no.
the Sanctum Imperialis now, in which our father, the Emperor of Mankind, resides upon his throne.
So it's a moving
We shall then
podcast.
speak to him about a very peculiar record that his custodians. The
funny thing is, as soon as he leaves, he's one of the few non-Space Marine or superpowered people in this world to talk to the Emperor.
Do you mean a library? that is
probably
a
will have a lot of power
clown,
after
or a
that.
library
Good for the
about
kid.
Clowns?
I don't need to explain anything about it.
Lord Adornable.
Both
please
of what he
impress
said
me,
is
brother.
accurate. It's a library of clowns. And
Just
clowns
like
in the library.
Called The Hunt for Voldorius that we covered in our last Voxcast. The events recorded within the pages of this tome are so specific that it is almost as if it was written by some creature of omnipotent knowledge. The only man I can imagine having written it would be the Emperor himself, but if not, I can probably speak for all of us when
If
I
it
say
turns
that
out
we
all the
quite
Black
honestly would be
Library
terribly confused
is just the
about
Emperor
its
screwing with
origins.
people, and that's how they're
I
sticking to it.
am,
Fine,
for
I'm cool with
whatever
it.
reason, barely up to
least in
speed with these
TTS,
recent
not
events,
actual canon.
But if we are going to speak to our Emperor, I am on it like a space wolf smelling the scent of dust.
Oh yes,
Dust?
brother. It is high time we meet our Emperor. Listeners, you can just sit back, relax, grab a bag of foam, and... Actually, never mind. Go back to working, you lazy nuts. You shall only listen to this for the purpose of expanding work morale and attaining some context for why you still get to lead your sterile and fabulous lives. Especially after that whole rogue Inquisition fiasco by Valdo's fight.
Stop yelling at our citizenry, Tribune. They may lead awful
Tribune?
lives, but the least they deserve is due respect for fulfilling their purpose.
cannot hear you, Adorable. I am opening the gate.
Come, boy. Let us into
Interesting
the
little
sanctum
effect there, how they
together.
showed he was further from the mic by acting the echo in there as well.
Yes,
Nice.
of course I will keep up.
Is this the boy with the
I
bag over his
believe
head and
you,
we're actually seeing
boy.
his face?
You can do this.
My legs are not made for running.
More impressive that he could keep up at all with Space Marines and
Breathing, sir.
Custodes.
Your mere
Sorry,
presence
Space
is
Marine
drastically
Primarchs
decreasing the quality
and
of our
Custodes.
Voxcast.
I can't help it.
We should look into getting some cybernetic replacements for those lungs of his. Would probably quiet him down.
Master Lord Emperor Man.
But
Emperor man.
how are you doing,
God.
my glorious overlord?
It's funny, but those two were
lot
scarred
worse
by the
than
Black
that,
Library and they're
Lord.
actually saner
Why
now.
have you come?
Pardon our harsh and sudden intrusion, my master. We should have lubricated your person with knowledge of our entrance in beforehand.
That's
You
not
are
what
the
they meant.
Absolute worst. Why do
Yes.
you make your presence known to me in my time of mending? I am currently resting my broken psyche, but the tranquility required to do so is getting smashed almost half as badly as your hindquarters every blood games practice.
We feel some information we have discovered may be relevant to your
They went there.
interests.
I mean, it's
If you give
obvious,
me
it's an
this
easy joke,
information
but they went
without
there.
a singular terrible innuendo, I may consider listening to you.
Oh, they're out of luck then.
Certainly. You see, I was thrusting forth through the bowels of that clown
As one of the
library.
10,000, you could possibly be my biggest failure, and you are living proof that eugenics does not work.
Thrusting this clown library.
Hot damn. I'm starting to see why that priest threw himself into the fire.
What
Damn!
you just said.
Manners, brother. You are speaking to our Emperor.
Excuse me, I was getting to that, my king. I was
Isn't that like a
reluctantly
downgrade to be a
sliding
king instead of an
around the
emperor?
hallways of that library when I came across a section containing loads upon loads of imperial ejaculature.
What are you talking about, you f***ing oil fat
They're
alpha
still
male?
censoring!
Why the fuck is Boy and the Voxhaler here?
I
Poor
We
kid.
are broadcasting this conversation, Father. We are doing a second Voxcast.
That poor kid. And oddly enough, will probably be one of the most powerful kids in the Imperium because he's talking to the
If you
Emperor.
wish me to remove him, I can break his neck and throw him out the window, my Emperor.
No need for more of Boy's insides covering my gleaming floors.
Oh yeah, because
But
he threw
why
up
did you
on
not tell
them.
me about the stupid Voxcast earlier? My psyche is not prepared for this hard task.
We figured that since you are in perpetual pain, the harrowing distress of suddenly being forced into an uncomfortable situation with billions of people listening would soon dissipate into the sea of agony you are experiencing every second.
Oh no, this is a
I
new
get it. No
and
need to rub it in your mud-chopped yellow jacket.
incredibly
Rubbing things
specific
in is not my
and unique
job.
pain.
You have your custodians for that.
Oh, and they're aroused. Oh god.
And clarify why you decided this needed to be broadcast.
As we were saying, sir, we found a section of the clown library filled with stories
still calling it
similar
that.
to that of the Hunt for Voldorius record that we covered last time. Dozens of written anecdotes containing such insight that it couldn't possibly have been recorded and written by an external figure, yet it seems likely they were. Sometimes these records are told from a first-person perspective, sometimes from a second or a third, but they all detail events of Imperial history to an extremely incisive and honestly uncanny degree.
How do you know these records were not written by the ones to have experienced these events?
A lot of them died.
Well, this could perhaps be the case, but if so, may I ask, have you ever written a story
Master
called
Mankind?
The Last Church
Oh.
under the alias of
Oh, it was written from the
Graham
God Emperor's
Mac-
perspective?
Nile?
No, that.
Oh.
Are we sure?
This is surprising.
If that is the case, there is some form of
I
mischief
love the
going
fourth
on.
wall breaking in this.
This would certainly sound all kinds riveting if it were not for
Unless the Emperor's name is Graham
passive-aggressive
Nile,
reference
he's just
you made
denying it in
about
this
the priest
universe.
and fire. Tell me the context of this before I devise manholes in the throne room floor by smashing you through it.
We shall, my master.
Also,
You
my nose
see,
is bugging me because of
our
allergies.
minds are swallowed whole by this peculiar record. We have been lounging in its balmy insides and probed it of all its little secrets.
You are the worst. Get to the
He
point.
really is.
This record is
I don't even
called
think he's mean to be rapey, but he
Tales
definitely
of
sounds it.
Heresy. It claims to feature events recorded by peculiar figures such as Dane Abnett,
Dan Abbott?
Cave, Thor
Oh, so it's a
Perry,
collection of
Graham
works. Okay.
McNeil,
An anthology.
and Jameis Swallow, amongst others.
I'm surprised they didn't make a joke about that
Carried
name.
by Eldar chroniclers. These are highly peculiar names. Well, except the last one.
Is it just
Do it!
me, or does the cover of that record have Agron on it?
It would seem so, yes.
Well, the highest form of irony is that I am fairly certain he never ever cared for the act of reading, or how letters function, or how to hold things that cannot handle grip pressure of 2,000 kilograms per square
Damn.
centimeter.
He instead highly enjoyed watching sitcoms.
Nevertheless,
The
does
monster!
this record
The
have
lowest
with
form of
murdered
entertainment.
priest? I grow tired of you prolonging this.
Fine. We want you to read this tome from page 275 and onwards.
Throw it at me.
Boom.
Oh, as you wish, my emperor. Here goes. You ready?
Catch.
Always.
Right in the knee?
Is he just flicking through it?
Now, he is reading it.
I wish I knew how to read.
Quiet, Surf. No one cares.
Poor kid.
Done.
That was
Fast?
really fast.
Of course it was. I am the mother booping emperor.
Ultra
Did he just
rapid read
bloop
through.
himself?
That is a funny reference.
I don't get it.
Thank you, Lord Adorable.
I don't get it.
So you
I
want
do.
to have this
Ultra
a very
rating.
private and personal meeting between me and the last priest made public
It's even funnier though
knowledge.
because he
The
calls it out for
record
not
is a
getting
good
it.
example of the imperial truth put into action. It also allows us to shed some much-needed light on the Age of Strife and how
Oh.
you came to be the Emperor of Mankind.
Oh.
People really should just know this already. I cannot express to you lot how frustrating it is that I must waste my time reiterating the events of the past 10 millennia.
Boy, do you know what the Age of Strife is?
No.
Allow me to explain. Sit in my lap. There is much room. No
He's
need
basically
for you to
pulling a-
stand, boy.
An adorable centurion on the kid.
Oh.
Rogel is
I
best
kinda
Rogel.
like this.
I don't get it.
Tribune, switch this to a new segment.
As you wish, Lord Adorable.
And he doesn't get it.
The Last Church. Setting.
Ew. He doesn't get it because it's
Is
non-sexual
it
at all.
story time?
Very good. I shall tell you the tale
And
of the
Rogel's
Age of
actually
Strife
acting like a dad, or at
as
least a
told by
grandpa.
my father to me. And you.
Oh yeah,
listeners,
because he was right there when it
Shall
happened.
too hear the tale. It shall provide context for the record we're about to cover. For the events of The Last Church by Graham McNeil takes place towards
I
the
know
tail
they're butchering
end
the names,
of the
it's
Age of
awesome.
Strife,
I just
which
find
you
it funny.
might also know as Old Night. It was the worst time to be a human on Terra, or Earth, as it was known at the time. Before the Age of Strife, humanity had reached the pinnacle of its progress in the fields of science and technology.
Now, even just
during
saying that would
the
be a little,
age of technology. As
heresy right there.
humanity
A lot of people
conquered
would think
thousands
Age
of
of
planets
Technology was a
throughout the
down
Milky Way
period.
galaxy, prospering for
different
millennia.
moralities.
This era of expansion suddenly came to an end, all too soon.
Maybe?
A huge
Not really
influx
sure how
of
long that fall
mortals
started.
developing psychic powers. becoming what is known as psychers.
It had to happen sooner or later, but this was an absolutely atrocious time for these symptoms to start cropping up. With a sudden influx of psychers, a corrosive wave of insanity, possession, and warp storms came with it, making space travel practically impossible. Every planet functioned essentially as a kind of void net, pulling ships out of the warp and straight into hell.
Oh.
This isolated settled planets from one another for millennia.
Because you have to travel for so far on light speed, but then you get pulled out into real space or the warp.
Segregation amongst mankind, the likes of which has never been seen since.
Not only that, but during the 23rd millennium, the technology that mankind had revered during the Age of Technology turned, as abominable intelligences called the Men of Iron.
Wait, they returned?
Humanity in a cybernetic revolt. Huge wars
now that's different.
Across all human worlds, starting what you might call the mechanicalism.
The wars of the machine were a massive hassle to deal
I thought that
with,
happened before Old Night, and Psychers came out.
Cropping up around Millennium 22. The state of conflict went poorly
Huh,
for Terra.
interesting.
It was completely isolated by
I thought it was the other way
rush of
around.
warp
Psychers came
storms,
after
as
the machine
usage of
revolt.
warp space to travel faster, and light became dangerous and eventually an impossibility. And with Terra's over-reliance on technology to survive in the first place, this anarchy proved too much for its inhabitants as they spiraled into barbarism, superstition, and wanton slaughter. Terra's
that actually sounds similar to their current state.
Broke down completely as the planet became a massive battlefield for techno-barbarian wars.
Still wish I knew what those looked like, because apparently they're not quite human looking.
But
they were a different genome by that point.
There was yet hope. A great warlord stepped forth and started conquering the lands of Terra with extreme
then again, there are
efficiency.
noted custodies that were from that period.
This warlord became simply
and some of
known
the
as the
warriors that
Emperor.
survived.
It's a boy.
Our Emperor, together with his army of genetically modified warriors, the Thunder Warriors, predecessors of the Space Marines, started the Unification Wars, conquering the lands of Terra. The Emperor fought and won these wars, and with mankind's new master made clear to the people of Terra, the story in question takes place between the end of the Age of Strife and the beginning of the Age of the Imperium.
That is a nice and tight packet of information concerning the early history of mankind.
What did you think of this story, boy?
Doesn't get it?
We don't deserve our emperor. He's too great for us unworthy people.
Yeah.
That is correct. You are a good boy, boy.
Oh my god.
Thank you, my lord.
Brown nose.
And he already got more praise than all the strip stodies. Oh my god.
Synopsis of the record in and of itself.
I'd appreciate that. I've not even read the book. Not
Does
that
he
I
not
tend
read?
to read books. That's for serfs and lex mechanics.
Can you?
Provide a synopsis for this full-grown millennia-old man who cannot read.
Hey, I mean, I can read.
No, he can't!
Do not worry your flowing locks, brother mine.
They're gonna tease him. Let him tease
It's
him.
in audio format too.
Ooh. I will actually look into that later.
Just go ahead with the synopsis.
Old man who can't read.
Most smashing.
The Last Church.
Samurai.
Summary.
I'm getting way too into this. Got a little issue
The
there?
Last Church introduces us to Uriah Olather, the priest and guardian of the Church of the Lightning Stone, which is the titular Last Church on Terra.
Oh,
He
that
reminisces how
last
popular His
church.
church was once upon a time. His
Church
midnight
sucks.
his midnight service drawing in loads of people due to the frightening wars of the outside world. Now it is not as popular as it once was. The church is empty, and he is alone, but not for long. As the old priest awaits his congregation in his lonesomeness, a single man enters his church, a stranger calling himself Revelation.
It's a boy. Again.
So that's what he called himself before the Emperor.
For the oh-so spoiler-free synopsis.
So, wait, is Revelation our glorious overlord?
I just said that but a moment
He said it's
ago.
the boy.
It's a way to go. You figured it out. Took you about 5 hours less than I thought it would.
God, he's such a
Oh,
dick.
thank you most graciously, my lord.
He doesn't even know he's being teased.
Shall we go ahead and let loose our thoughts about the story, my master?
Sure. Let us
I'm
get
more
to the
surprised that's the only
nitty-gritty of
non-spoiler
what
pit.
happens between us and the church.
All right. let us go.
The last
Review.
church. Review.
I'm more surprised the summary was that short.
So, this is the time when I can inform you that this is not an event typical of those recorded in that clown library.
Oh?
These records have a tendency to contain at least one, often more, combat segments presented in incredibly grandiose fashions.
Not a surprise considering the state of a galaxy at large.
A fine observation, my Emperor.
Fine indeed. But this
What was he
record
saying in
is
the
an
background?
exception. It is simply a dialogue between two people. A religious man of a simple mind led to his belief by personal experience, and a staunch unbeliever wielding cold logic as his weapon, yet is also laden with arrogance and prejudice.
Really, dude? He's sitting right there.
What did you just say to me, you flaccid cretin?
Yes, how dare you even think of articulating such non-correct thoughts?
I am sorry, my lord.
I'm liking this guy more and more.
Honestly, he's just stating the truth.
Yeah.
Oh, that is totally not so.
Have you read it?
Come on, as we established, you can't even read. How would you know?
I can't read!
No, you can't.
Sure you can. You are such a nerd.
No, stop this
He's a nerd for not being a
immediately.
nerd.
Stroll along and lick your wounds while I continue.
Just because they made it to the
I'll
clown
lick
library.
your face!
Oh.
Shut up right now and move on.
So that's how they do it.
Arrogance and prejudice carried by revelation. Something his followers, like my brother over here, would have a hard time swallowing.
Not touching that one.
Established as harshly as can be, only a few words into their dialogue, when revelation calls Uriah's kind dour and leaden-hearted, having assumed him to be of the very same nature. And this is only one of the many, many up-and-coming arguments Revelation slams the poor priest's aged rear with throughout this recorded event.
His aged mind required his medicine, but he insensibly refused it up front. Even with limited space and unyielding
The irony, of
stubbornness
course, is
and
there are
pride,
explicitly
a
gods
whole
in this
lot of
universe.
crap plugging it up, the medicine
So-
had to get in somehow.
It's
Who's
not
pulling
deterministic.
innuendos out the endo now?
So believing there are no
Those
gods is
lyrics you do
expressly
not see,
wrong.
Superman.
Yeah, just stop being a jerk.
As I was about to say, though, Revelation's vindictive attitude, especially towards priests and religion in general, is made clear very fast, and Uriah proceeds to defend his belief as best he can as their argument flares up. But he is no theologian, he is simply a man of faith, so his worldview is slowly and painfully deconstructed by this strange man for reasons eventually made clear.
Really?
A no doubt immensely interesting dialogue, one that sheds light on the Imperium's early history and the character of our Emperor. But a painfully one-sided conversation, it has to be said.
Take heed, listeners, for these are the facts. The Imperium of Man is founded on the imperial truth.
Which
This
no
is
one
the
even
verdict
knows
that all
anymore,
faiths
because they all
and
think it's
beliefs
about
in
religion,
supernatural are
which
to
is-
be gotten rid of. This was an integral part of the unification wars as well.
Failed
as the Great
horribly.
Crusade that I
Well,
later started.
later,
when
much later,
conquering
but
the
still.
planets of the Milky Way galaxy, much like I had conquered the countries of Terra. This record probably has one of the best demonstrations for how the imperial
Did you
truth
say
functions
cats?
on a theoretical and practical level. Uriah Fair and his craggy old church serving as the perfect representation of all whom rejected the new imperium.
It was the imperial truth that brought this imperium to its height. Without it, all that would remain of you would be your ancestors' festering corpses. So shut up, boy!
What?
You are definitely not wrong. This is not a case of arrogance. It is a case of me being right versus mankind ripping out its own innards and willful
If Magnus was here right now, that would just be too much bait.
Alright, time for the real talk. Sir, while I adore you like none other, while I would give my life to save yours in but an
Oh?
instant, while I would serve you for an eternity and more, while I am thankful for your graceful masterdom of our undeserved
He's about to say something
species,
terribly surprising, isn't he?
I have to admit that you are kind of an asshole.
Yeah!
Oh,
What? You dare? You actually dare?
You madman!
I mean, alright, listen. The age of strife was quite awful for everyone alive at the time, and the religions of old no doubt penetrated the veil of morality more than enough to warrant not existing anymore. There is no denying that. But Come on now.
Are you, some speck of a middleman, of all creatures in existence, really criticizing me right now?
I
Why
have to
not?
agree that your actions were redundant, Father. All in all, what you
Redundant?
did is you entered that church to have a heated argument with a harmless old mortal.
Exactly my point. He was harmless.
Quiet.
He was 80 years old.
Shut up.
He was
In a time where that's
tired and
surprising.
lonesome.
Shut your stupid
His
mouth.
only company was a rock and a doomsday
I will
clock.
sew yarded plates to your skull.
I am surprised he did not die of liver failure in the midst of the argument.
The vibrations of your vocal cords.
He actually pissed off the Emperor more than Magnus. Oh God! I love it when they actually call him out. It's perfect.
Choking is a function I had long since transcended.
Do you not think I have argued with Count?
Oh, I just got what he meant.
All different doctrines?
I just
Well,
got
that is
what he
exactly
meant by the
I did
choking
during
comment.
those times. They all either fell
very
into
good at,
my ranks
keeping his
or
airway
onto
open.
their polished marble floors. What makes you believe your all affair was to be treated differently?
I cannot rightly say. There is just something deep inside me, in my very core, telling me that you were kind of an asshole.
He just keeps on going.
I will humor you.
Yeah.
Which one of my actions during the course of this record would you call asshole-ish?
All of them?
Well, first off, you assumed him to be dour and leaden-hearted, like, as you said, all priestly folk are. Those are among your first words to him.
Priests are prejudiced by nature. I do not see why I should not return the favor in kind.
The irony is that would actually describe you then.
Is kind of an asshole thing to assume.
Holy balls! All right, this is highly unorthodox. Would you like me to throw him out the window, my lord?
Is he
No use
joking
for
him?
Strength prophylactic. Much as it is unusual for me to say this, I need his input so I can figure out how he, of all sentient life forms, has the gall to currently be criticizing me.
And one of the stripstonies as well.
While I do not wish to strap on the thong of the demon's advocate quite
Oh
as
God,
tightly
Slanesh
as my
even.
brother here, you never told the Ecclesiarch Decius that he was dour and leaden-hearted. He and this erogenous dung top are honestly pretty
Dung
useful,
top.
and I am certainly agree, considering you are still keeping them around and all.
Just like Uriah, I gave him a second chance, but unlike Uriah, Decius did not decide to throw a fit right into an inferno.
I think that might be because you didn't decide to light the ecclesiarchal palace on fire after converting him.
That would be incredibly wasteful. The ecclesiarchal palace and all cathedrals at once house that wretched imperial cult is to be dedicated to the galactical establishment of the new imperial truth as well as the worship of mankind as a whole.
Why did you not repurpose the Church of the Lightning Stone in a similar manner?
Prejudice.
By the time your Thunder Warriors lit the church on fire, the old priest had been converted. You had already convinced him that his religion was nothing but falsehoods.
As I said, some things, such as old churches, are better left forgotten.
Gilliman would probably fight you on that. He likes his old cultural vestiges.
I would be the least
Oh my
anxious
God,
behind
Gilliman's more
as to
sentimental.
his livery if he did.
Right on.
Lewd.
No.
Besides,
Yes.
some old stone church would have had to make way for the factorums and scriptorums eventually anyway. No need to covet such pointless history when we can favor progress instead.
I love how he's being brought in as the
How
foil
soon
of
we
what is
forget.
not a popular
Ignorance
opinion.
damns progress. That is what our glorious overlord said last Voxcast. I cannot help but feel that forcing this old church into the void of the forgotten is to deliberately enforce ignorance.
I wasn't in the last Voxcast, so I didn't even hear him say that.
We are
And that is
currently
actually
bringing
something
the
what he just said there
so-forgotten
might have been the
vestige
real
of
point.
cultural
Enforced
history
ignorance
that
about
you are
religion.
attempting to defend
Because it
of
is
opening a
explicitly
Voxcast
real.
publique. It was a different time.
And he's
and
actually trying to
different
change
actions
that
had to
because
be
the
taken for
gods who
progress
are
to
explicitly
occur.
real
So
are
you go eat your empty-headed church
Nurgle,
sympathizing
Slanesh.
blather
I don't
between
need to
two
go on.
lobes
The
of
other two are
Belmatron while
evil
I
as well,
remain
but
in the
honestly,
right,
those two
as I
just.
always do.
So you would not burn this church down if it happened to exist today?
I would. But I would not have people forget it. I would instead make it an example to all of what happens if you insult me by insisting on building some scraggly damn cult shack on my planet.
You have that a lot of
Burn
plans.
it! Burn it! Burn it all down! Burn it all down! Burn it all down! Yeah!
That is quite the vendetta you carry. Nevertheless, I have a second point to make.
Oh, please!
No.
Only
go
two?
Right ahead. I am ready to thoroughly debunk and viciously murder each stupid point you bring up against me.
The second instance of assholishness that really stood out to me was when you told of the atrocities his religions had wrought in the days of old, like those holy men who killed a whole bunch of people while, well, for the lack of a better term, crusading.
Yes, his religion was awful, barbaric nonsense influenced by the gods of Coes. What of it?
The irony right now.
Well, I just could not help but feel like your hypocrisy reached some form of...
Yeah! Like a Great Crusade, even.
The difference between the old crusades and your crusade.
The difference is I know I am right.
A perfect retort, my glorious
Says everyone who
overlord.
believes they're right.
You are right. Always, all the time. Shut up, boy.
Didn't say anything.
Why did you bring that up, butler boy? Are you really
He's been
going
upgraded.
to challenge me on this?
No, perhaps not. But I am going to ask you why you did not just use your divine charisma upon his simple
Oh, you could turn it
moral
off.
mind
Interesting.
to convince him your crusade was justified. That way, he would have followed you no matter what.
I did not wish for him to follow me blindly like he had done his false god. I wanted him to make the conscious, free choice of following me.
Yes. In that case, you could have at least pitched the idea of humanity conquering the stars to him a bit better. I mean, if you did not mention the whole crusade thing and told him he would get first-class seats on the Bucephalus as it traveled across the solar system for the first time, then maybe he would have followed you. He was clearly a traveler at heart, and spending his last days traveling a new frontier would have surely given him the peace he sought.
Maybe you could have thrown in some liquor in the deal as well, I don't know.
Are
Yeah,
you
that usually works.
suggesting I should have given this privilege to all preachers of Terra? Cause, son, let me tell you how logistically screwed that suggestion is, and how logistically vacant your flopping skull is.
No. Just the ones you kind of liked, I guess. The ones with potential.
I do not follow.
To be quite honest,
What?
you and Uriah got pretty friendly at times.
What?
It was actually quite cute, and I'd totally ship that ship if it hadn't sunk already.
Oh my god, they're shipping!
No.
Well, to be fair, yes, he was admittedly all in all rather pleasant for a priest. And he gave
Emperor
me
shipping!
The only
Oh my
spirit you will
God.
ever believe in, eh?
My second secret project has always been to awaken the immaterial god of alcoholic spirits. I would be amongst its most fervent followers.
A lot of people would.
I cannot tell if this is some kind of joke.
What's an alcohol?
Alas, I cannot deny that the novelty of having the last priest of the last church join the newly founded secular imperium would have been gratifying. If I had spoken to him more than once prior to his brainwashing, I am sure his statue would be mounted somewhere here on Terra.
Whoa!
Hello.
It's death come to take me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nah,
good.
he's over in the corner.
Death, take boy.
Hello.
Calm down, boy.
Yeah.
It is only a deranged tech
Tech
priest.
Hello.
What do you want?
Hello.
Why does he have a saurian for a face?
See, I've been wondering that too.
From where did this creature emerge?
Why does
I
he?
recognize this priest.
Hello.
He is supposed to be looking for my bike.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Why does he just keep saying hello?
A humble collector of knowledge may be beseeching your word. Would you believe I may have read this story through the pig feet of your custodians' helmets? Would it be possible
He can
to
do
now
that?
ask an obnoxious amount of questions about it?
You are a creep, but okay.
The last turn.
Trivia time.
May I commence questionnaire protocol 0001 now?
Yes.
What is an Europa?
It is
Moon?
not to be confused with the ocean moon of Jupiter, as it is a Terran continent. It was
Really?
called Europe before,
Oh.
but it is the future now.
I thought that was an ancient Phoenician woman.
I thought it was a band.
What about Isangula Verona? What is that?
Person?
Isangela Verona was an artist that lived about 11,000
Oh, wow.
years ago. She took commissions to paint frescoes, such as the one on the ceiling of the Church of the Lightning Stone. Four of her works mentioned in the record are the following. Number 1. Nude figures disporting in a magical garden. Number 2. The explosion of stars. Number 3. The battle between a golden knight and a silver dragon. And number 4. A wondrous being of light surrounded by a halo of machinery.
And she wouldn't know about the
The first
Mechanicus
one
yet,
is
would
a
she?
reference to an archaic book which spoke of the first two humans to ever exist.
Adam and Eve.
Both of who lived in a magical garden where animals talked and everything was a trip.
That is dumb. Did you read it out of the book of the Astronomicon?
You shut your face. The book of the Astronomicon is a treasure.
I want
Moving
them
on,
to bring
the
up
second
more.
painting is more or less a hilarious jape on the priestess' expense, as it was an artistic representation of the Big Bang. I do not quite remember if it was Isangela herself screwing around or if it was due to some so-called divine inspiration, but having a church decorated with a secular truth concerning the origins of existence, as opposed to one of divine creation, is an insanely great prank.
Does sound like something you would do.
Yeah.
Boy, do you know what the Big Bang is?
Sounds really lewd.
Wow, you know what? It actually
Was not expecting him to say that.
Serious right now. I was warming up to boy, but now you are turning him to your side.
The
It was
Stonies
a
are doing
widely
it.
accepted cosmological model for our universe, telling us that all that is began as a single minuscule cluster of energy,
So far,
which
correct?
then expanded rapidly to the size it is today, in a fashion akin to that of an explosion. A bang that is big.
And oddly enough, it
Everyone
seems
in
like it
my
might be an
opinion does
uneven
not know
explosion
this
as well.
makes me lose so much hope for our future. How am I supposed to fight the heat death of the universe if no one even knows what a singularity is?
A single what?
Silence, Serf! Stop not knowing things.
As once he's actually responding to him.
Anyway, the third painting is just straight up me fighting a dragon. We'll not talk much more about it, but all in all,
Oh,
I
he doesn't
am
want to talk
hero.
about that. Do it.
Lastly, the fourth is a planted
I think that's the
prophecy
Void Dragon,
that
right? Who
later
may or
was
may not be on
fulfilled
Mars.
As I descended upon Mars to greet the early Mechanicum.
Considering that is a thing, I cannot help but feel like it was either you who commissioned those paintings, or that Isangela Verona was some sort of psycho.
Yep.
Let us just say that, in the end, her works were not really divinely inspired as much as they were man-divinely inspired.
He's just
I'd
being a
prefer
dick.
Man-lightenment any day
Oh,
of the week.
God.
She died after rejecting glory, honor, and exposure as adequate payment methods for her work.
Really?
A total sellout, I am telling you.
You killed her because you
What
didn't
a
want to repair?
Vile woman. Utterly.
What is a Mariana Canyon?
It is the remnants of the so-called Mariana Trench
Remnants?
that existed back when Terra still had water. It was the deepest known part of the world's oceans. I have no idea what it is used for now, but I am certain that deep, gaping, and oh so convenient hole now holds mounds upon mounds of Terran excreta thanks to whatever swivel-eyed divisio the administratum set to
That
handle Terra's void
Probably is
bowels.
I
accurate.
could make a fine subterranean fortress out of it, if it was rinsed clean.
Yeah.
What is a Frank?
Frank was a country in Europe. It was primarily known for
Frank?
its production of striped shirts, the Napoleon Company.
Oh, France.
The bestest of
Oh.
the North's startup in history.
I have heard its streets were filled with gray-scaled
Mimes!
What is an old knight?
It is another word for the age of strife, you idiot.
How did you not know? That is quite dumb.
Yeah.
Who are a Satwin and Gallienus?
Some ancient, irrelevant scholars, whom he just as well could have made up the names of on the spot.
So these names are not based on some morbidly ancient yet still somehow relevant scholars from the early age of Terra, as these usually are?
No.
Huh.
Weird.
What is a Mediterranean dust bowl?
After
Oh.
water on Terra magically disappeared, so did the Mediterranean Sea, as it was
Yeah, why
called.
did the water magically
It became,
disappear?
as the name indicates, a
Evaporation,
dust bowl.
stupid explanation.
What are a Nordafric conclaves?
Sounds
Some
dirty.
society built upon the northern part of the continent known as Africa until the two latter letters were reckoned from history. Fairly certain there was a South Africa equivalent as well, but do not take my word on that.
What is an
Sounds painful?
What? Erish was a nation led by a warlord known as Kalaganavrish. His territory spanned areas previously known as Russia, Asia, and India for the most part.
I think I remember
fairly
hearing about
certain.
this previously.
What about Shankar? What is a
A general under Kalaganavrish.
Is he broken?
What?
Goodness gracious, how
What?
horrifying.
Yeah.
Why does he say it like that?
Erish is indeed a word-do inquisitive pile of trash.
Who is Nathan Durn?
Narthan Doom was the most infamous warlord of them all, the half-insane, half-genius, half-sand enthusiast of the Pan-Pacific Empire. His empire was incidentally only made possible due to the fact that the western portions of the Ring of Fire region disappeared.
Wait.
What?
Is it Narthan Doom or Narthan Derm?
Both and neither, as befits someone who is somehow half-insane and half-genius.
It
Good thing no one
disappeared?
cares. He is incredibly dead and irrelevant.
How can it just disappear?
What is Tally
Mass Effect.
and Scandia?
A buxom nation of dumb idiot traders in what was once the kingdoms of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, before they decided to not accept unity, and thusly got dunked in flames by yours truly.
And what about the Indonesic bloc?
It is an other nation. Stop asking about nations, you vexing Don Holster.
What was the religion the priest held on to?
Ostensibly an Abrahamic religion, as they were called, or at least a descendant of one.
Oh, so it was an
Perhaps something
actual
along the lines
church.
of Catholicism, which is lightly touched upon in another record.
Religious worship of a kafir seems highly ridiculous. It is no wonder you banned its worship, Father.
Oh, that would be so much worse.
Do you know, I was going to smack you for being wrong, but if you look at it with a deep understanding of esoteric philosophy, you are uncannily correct.
Explain, please.
See, the urethra constitutes the brain, theism constitutes the damage, catheterization constitutes religious doctrine, and the flooding constitutes the awful bloody religious arguments pouring out from their skull.
Oh, goodness.
Honestly, sir,
Okay.
that comparison was painfully
Yeah.
contrived.
Damaged urethras must have been common back in the day.
Yes. This ancient sect first formed in the early days of the Age of Terra, at the very beginning of the calendar we conveniently hijacked off of them.
A few
It
dozen
somehow
times
managed
over
to
even.
survive for thousands of years, like a stubborn disease, and crazily enough, it might just still exist to this day. It is brought into full view late into the record when I revealed the history of this barbaric religion. I spoke of the ancient crusades and its indoctrinated acolytes who spouted the Isvault and killed countless of innocents. I also
That sounds
referred to
oddly
the events of the
familiar.
massacre of Bessier in ancient France, as well as, and prepare yourself for this one, the establishment of the Catholic Inquisition. Yes, you heard this correctly. There is an actual honest-to-fuck reference to the very Inquisition the one in the 41st millennium is so shamelessly trying to mirror.
I know, it's like
An
it was
organization
designed off
that
it or
I
something,
myself
but that's
call
too
the
meta.
lethal, monstrous
Yeah.
plague of hysteria in this record.
Don't think I have ever heard of such an organization ever existing.
Well,
I guess
between
the name
trying
had to
not
be
to know
derived from
things
somewhere.
and
Originality is
so
dead.
far in the back, yeah.
Suffice to say, when I later on ordered Malkador
That wasn't
to
a,
form what
mistake.
would
I
later
just
be
know who
known
I'm talking
as the
about.
God Emperor's Holy Inquisition, his intention was absolutely not to make a horrific planet-murdering descendant of the 12th century organization going by the same
Oddly enough,
name,
neither were they
and
at
I
first.
will be
It just
nice
turned
and
out that
I
way.
suck it, if that
Funny.
was his intention, and he is just screwing with me from beyond the grave.
Could this be the last question?
No.
What was the lightning stone?
See?
really?
It wasn't. He asked another.
I do not even think we provided context for the lightning stone in the first place.
It is just a dumb stone that got hit by lightning. A blind and deaf man was supposedly nearby when it happened, and was cured, or something. It is really vague, and quite an awful, self-contradictory story dug straight from the contents of someone's catheter bag.
But the stone did exist, at least.
And it's probably the Emperor
Yes.
doing it,
The
too.
lightning stone is actually an ancient pinnacle of rock previously known as the Old Man of Store, before the little lightning stone fantasy came to fruition. It existed upon the Isle of Skye, which
Ooh.
was part of an empire known as Great Britain.
Actually wanna go
in
see this
ancient
now.
Times.
How great was this Great Britain?
Not that great. It was actually pretty small. Had a lot of poundlands though, so that goes for something.
I may or may not have any more questions, but might I be leaning towards no?
I have no idea what compelled me to answer all of these questions.
Can I break his neck?
Not now.
Does he have a neck? It looks like he's just
Do
kind of
I
there.
have a theory? Yes. The theory is the Emperor of Mankind, in fact, a giant asshole?
Well,
They're all doing it! They are all doing it!
out the window. Be gone, you!
He actually threw him out the window! He actually threw him out the window!
Now that that is done, do you know what I am going to do?
Oh God.
What shall you do, my master?
I am going to, for just a moment, acknowledge your piteous little wishes.
Will I get to suckle your kneecaps?
Oh God.
No, you will not. I shall summon forth God from the depths of the Immaterium to speak to me once more.
Really?
A final dialogue between the two of us.
Whoa! Whoa! Oh, shipping time!
You can really do that?
Of course
He's actually
I
done
can.
before in the book, so
I am
yeah.
the mother-stomping emperor.
Father, are you certain this is a good idea?
Yes.
The guy can
I
also
came up with
at least,
I
you know,
shall
rub it in his
locate
face that he was right.
and project it here.
What? Where am I? By the gods, what is this hideous light? Oh.
By Clutius Maximus!
Oh no!
No. Wait, just a moment.
Oh no.
Oh my gods! It is in Revelation in the flesh. Oh, well, sorry.
Oh, that's a dick
a
move.
very apt way of describing it anymore now is...
Oh, and he's up on.
Filth. You will not speak
He's
to
red.
our glorious overlord in
And has
such casual a
horns.
fashion.
Thrones trousers, what has happened?
my apologies.
That's a chaos emblem, isn't it?
You forcibly summoned me at a most inopportune time. I was just preaching the word of the gods to my congregation.
Oh no!
No matter. Have you perhaps brought me here for a second round? I knew this day would come, you know.
Oh my God.
I have to give
He's
you
a chaos
fair warning,
cultist now.
however. For
In
believe
death.
me, old friend, I now have not but the moral high ground, but also approximately 11,000 years of stone-cold fact to back up my faith.
Emperor's teeth, he's a coward, man!
Oh, damn it. I've been unwittingly defending someone who is now a literal demon this entire Voxcast. Ah, well, time to go inject promethean cocktail into my face and get turned into a dreadnought.
What?
But I have to first of all ask what in the grandest galactical gobsmashing fuck has happened to you, Uriah?
Revelation happened.
Are you sassing me right now?
He is sassing you right now.
Yeah, he's sassing him.
Dare you sass the Spasperer of Sass.
He can't even speak.
Saspera.
Not as much sassing as I am perhaps thanking you. Albeit an indirect action, your crazed arrogance was what brought me to find the primordial truth.
And that's the problem.
Through baptism in the flames of terror's last religious bastion.
It's just wrong!
I would contend that the self-immolation has had the opposite of its intended effects.
After you stripped away my faith in both God and humanity, I thought I had lost it all. Nothing remained for me in this world. Nothing but despair, persecution, and loneliness. In a new world bereft of its morality. The conflagration that had once been my church, I then saw as my only salvation. But in the midst of the inferno you had so ruthlessly started, I heard their voices. They called to me. They wanted to help me. They saw my faith not as tragic and fruitless, but as tenacious, honorable, sophisticated, and beautiful.
And you can actually tell each of the gods supporting him.
Existence had purpose, that the life I led had not been a lie, and that they wished it not yet snuffed out. They truly did exist.
I kind of want this
They
to actually
saved
be
my
the
immortal
canon, that he
soul
actually
and
got taken by
brought me
chaos.
to the heavens. For them, I remain to this day. I yet stand as the last true priest of terror in the name of the gods, and I will preach their word to all whom are willing
And this is a
to hear
Voxcast
it.
too.
So, friends, would you care to join me for the midnight service?
It's not midnight, it's noon, traitor!
I hate this. I hate everything about this. This is taking a huge dump over the entire being who was Uriah, and the record in and of itself. Why would anyone do this?
I am quite horrified.
Fine then. Into the fray once more. We shall joust with words,
Oh,
thrust,
no.
and parry one another's certainties with argument and counter-argument. Say what you will, and we will spar for a few minutes or so. I really do not have more time.
Yeah, you
That
do.
is my intention. I have other matters to attend to, but a few minutes I can spare.
Did you two just quote your previous conversation almost verbatim?
Shut up, Rogel. Daddy is busy.
I am horrible.
Yes, he is.
You're really not.
First off,
Dick,
making
move.
the transition from a belief that, while immensely hypocritical, primarily proclaims itself servants of love and prosperity of all mankind to a belief that praises literal, actual demons is so beyond logical reasoning it could be a religion
broke 'em.
in its own right.
Demon is but a name you foolishly apply to them to manufacture.
And they live down
pretext.
to.
You frame them as objectively evil, but in that same regard, I could call them angels.
Well,
No, he has actual arguments. Run for cover.
You must be screwing with me now. Have you ever seen a bloodletter?
Yes, I am aware as to how they appear, but...
Just look at this Yubarmi marble druid.
Oh, that's a picture of a bloodletter.
Yes, I am aware as to how they appear, but...
Had it been 11,000 years earlier, and the sucker came for a visit, you would be voiding your bowels witnessing a literal Satan strolling through your church.
yeah,
This is
they are
all
literally
semantics.
denying around that.
To be quite honest, I do not
Denied
care
around
for what
that.
the
What the hell? I cannot English.
appear for you to be. What matters is what they are.
Yes, and this nice young man would like you to distribute mandatory alms to the Church of Mega Satan by ripping out your jugular and pouring its contents into a mile-wide goer lake.
See? You're doing it again. You're framing them as objectively evil and leaving it at
They
that.
live down to it, though.
Something
That's the
you've
problem.
done Since time immemorial. You frame things as harmful when it's a lot more nuanced.
I am not framing anything. This is verbatim what bloodletters do.
Yeah.
It is even in their damn name.
The service of corn is
A weapon
not,
they use is literally called a hellblade.
much like the poorest servants of the powers. You focus all too much on such petty things as names and exteriors.
Like dying. That would be a thing.
I am vastly different in my own worship, the one I spread to the masses. I worship the powers undivided as a singular
And now
entity.
that is an interesting
I
concept.
perceive the various powers as aspects
Because
of
they
one
are
vast benevolent being.
Defined by belief.
I wish for myself and all life willing.
What would happen
to
if they
give
were combined?
themselves to the purest form of devotion to the powers in its unadulterated whole, coming as close as can be to the true God of this existence.
You cannot possibly believe those wretched cock muffins up there are somehow part of the same entity.
Oh, hey, the word cock isn't sensitive.
It isn't. Wow.
Can I not? I believe it makes sense.
The thing is, I've actually heard this argument.
They are part of the immaterium, as the immaterium is
As is in part
them.
of everyone.
They are all connected, integral parts of a full body.
Well, the way I see it
And
is
that's
that
actually
what we
how they
call
interact with
gods
demons,
are
so it's
like
not
malign growths unsaid bodies.
unsaid.
They need to be removed, so the body as a whole stops destroying itself. Remove coas.
That is quite ludicrous. Do you realize
Remove
that...
coas.
No. If you were to do that,
Remove
then...
coas.
Listen here. That is not even how it's
Remove
pronounced.
coas. Remove coas.
Stop
Remove
that
coas.
immediately.
Remove
He's just
coas,
being a
remove
dick.
coas, Remove coas.
The
Remove
grievous
coas.
skeleton
Remove
of a
coas.
child is
Remove
what you
coas.
are.
Remove
I
coas.
can't believe
Remove
I'm
coas.
having an
Remove
argument
coas.
with a
Remove coas.
charlatan.
Remove coas.
Also,
Remove
stop it.
coas.
Stop it.
Remove
If you don't
coas.
take me seriously, I will not be having this conversation
Remember
anymore.
that one time when you worshipped a book that said, abstain from things polluted by idols, from sexual immorality, from what is strangled, and from blood. But then you fried your brain and began worship of all those things instead.
All right, listen here, you shrieking revenant.
Poa.
I am getting rather sick of all this horrid hypocrisy that you're heaving
They're
forth.
both
But
hypocrites
since
now.
You want to play that game so
Which is actually
badly,
probably the
let's
irony in it.
go.
Priest is man.
First off, since you focus on such petty things as exteriors and namesakes, let me do the exact same thing. Let's see what happens. So let me think. You directly or indirectly repopularized the usage of many, many words that were previously almost exclusively used by, for, and with different religions, such as crusade, church, cathedral, sanctum, prayer.
Well, after crusade,
sacred,
actually, most of
holy,
those were people
divine,
after him, not him.
chastity, litany, purity, faith, angels, halo, priest, prioress, canoness, martyr, cherub, chaplain, templar, cardinal, ecclesia, titan, saint,
Titan, really?
Blasphemy, corruption, the Council of Nicaea.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Inquisition, and of course, heresy. Just to name a few.
To be fair, a lot of
And
those were
here you
people
are,
after he was
sitting in your
corpsed.
glimmering god couch, led up to by a giant reference to Stairway to Heaven in a literal golden palace the size of 1,000 landscapes, incense candles all over the place, and you dare call me a hypocrite?
They're both hypocrites.
Most of those were Lorgar's fault.
You made Lorgar.
And that's true.
He is a direct cause of your actions.
Lorgar made himself follow the path of his own religion. In his own blindness and desperation, he sought what he couldn't find in Father.
Precisely. He only became a religious nut because he was put on that irrational oratory of a planet Koshis by the Koas Cretan.
And you decided to still give him an entire legion and the power.
Yeah, that
to
actually does seem like a
spread
really
his
dumb
faith,
move in hindsight.
Which, was the belief that you were a god, by the way. Totally called that one.
The fact that he recognized me as a god was entirely coincidental, and not my intention.
And when he found out, he did try and get rid of it.
Corpse. Every single facet of your entire damnable Imperium, from its looks to its methods to even its religious symbolism, is neither coincidental nor accidental.
Oh?
You have done all this on purpose, and now you seek to deflect blame onto those whom you supported.
Shut it.
For God's sake, Revelation. Sanguinius literally has angel wings.
Yeah.
How could you have accidentally done that?
I believe those were caused by radiation on his homeworld.
Yeah.
Radiation does not cause anyone to grow
What he
angel
said!
wings if they were not genetically predisposed to.
Was it not you who just said, stop focusing on petty things such as names and exteriors?
And that is exactly my point, you sanctimonious arse. Even as you began coating your Imperium with religious iconography and naming conventions, you still spread your horrid imperial truth, longing for a galaxy of secular superiority. Ooh, look at me, I'm so rational. Even while claiming to have the moral high ground, and that religion is and always will be a source of destruction and despair,
He became a source of destruction and despair.
Killing
And that is actually on his
who
head,
do not
too.
consent to your enforced belief system. Your imperial truth has killed more people than any religion in the history of man.
The
Yeah.
difference is, I know I am right.
Says everyone.
And also, I wasn't done.
He just keeps on going.
Keeps getting worse.
While you revel in this grand display of abhorrent pietism, the primordial truth too contradicts itself, but in the right way, in that while it may seem to you like the incarnation of objective evil, it actually brings forth purpose for humanity. Pride, hope, relish, bravery, and all dreams and emotions of mankind are praised to their highest regard. Beneath the rugged exterior of the powers, you find goodness in the heart of men. Beneath the deliberately hollowed exterior of your imperial truth, you find but a fruitless existence.
Disagree with the
Suppose
first, agree with the
purpose you
second.
speak of is but an awful excuse to ever revel in your ultimately inessential feelings, as multi-dimensional intelligences suckle from your naive brain teat. Your purpose is to be a host to parasites. That is no life worthy of existence. A true purpose would be not to comply to an astral oppressor, but to make a mark against its tyranny. Ascend your primal mind and become something greater than a mere god. Conquer the coatic parasite infesting your brain and retake it with an iron hand.
And again, your words are riddled with
Yep.
hypocrisy. If you stood fully behind your own words, you would have accepted the interlegionary wars for what they were.
Oh?
The Primarchs themselves marching against tyranny. Your tyranny.
No matter how much you may
Sort
think so,
of?
there is a key difference between me and the tyranny of
They
the
were
Coas
marching against
gods.
tyranny that they thought might happen.
The difference is,
They might have still been right, but we don't know.
I know I am right.
Can you even give a reason for why that is?
Of course I can.
What is your reason then?
Simple. I want to sustain humanity. The Coas gods only want to sustain themselves.
Oh, that's dung if I ever heard it. You wish to sustain humanity. Fine. But to what end? All that I have ever seen is men and women slaving their lives away in squalor to perpetuate their betters. Their betters being you.
No. The gods need you and your pitiful, unstable emotions to exist in the first place. I made the Imperium so that mankind may thrive away from these base emotional
just failed
provisions.
horribly.
Since, do you know, gods like Korn really just want their blood.
And just like how they need us, we need them. Just as how the gods are our thoughts, feelings, and emotions, our thoughts, feelings, and emotions are the gods. We cannot exist without them.
And considering the interaction with the warp, that actually might be true in 40K.
Our minds, and without emotion, without thoughts, and without
it's not entirely clear, though.
Truly non-functional servitor meat. The gods have existed since time immemorial.
Because there was passion before there was Slanesh.
The powers want to sustain themselves as much as they want to sustain us. For we are one and the same.
You are in dire need of a fact check with all this unsourced sewage you are spewing.
Actually complicated.
Sentience, as you know, as the powers could not even help you make a goddamn sandwich. They are tumors that have grown from the horrid emotional instability of a galaxy at constant work. If these consciousnesses were to be put out and freed of sentience, it would make no difference for the ones not woven up in their crooked pyramid schemes.
As I told you, the gods that make up the whole of the powers undivided have existed since the very first conception.
And now that is interesting. They weren't created, but divided from what already was there.
Our emotions. They cannot
an interesting way, rising from nothing, or being cut from a whole.
Whether you
That's
like that or not,
actually kind of interesting way to look at it.
Of the matter is that this
and it's gray enough that I can actually believe it happening in 40K.
Is simply what we normal people would call being human.
Please define normal people.
I can honestly understand why your sons betrayed you. With this callous attitude.
Well, Magnus technically didn't. He just fucked up a lot until he was left no choice.
You do not want to sustain humanity. You want humanity purged of all the flaws you see in it.
He wants his humanity.
You do not fight for humanity. You hate humanity. And you want it changed into something distinctly non-human. You want
or something it had been was before.
Free thinking. You want obedience to replace mutual companionships. You want the lives of your people to be dedicated to nothing but servitude to your malicious, self-serving cause.
Or even worse, he doesn't, but he does it anyways.
How painfully ironic it is that I tell you all this. This is the same rationale which you use to pave my path to your own brand of enlightenment. But, in the end, I saw in you the exact same oppressors that you sought to destroy.
And that is completely accurate.
You may call me a hypocrite for having altered my worship, but I still preach the same word of love and prosperity, just as I did back then. Only in the name of gods I know for true watch over me. But you...
Although, you know, there could have actually been human gods because belief is a thing.
Have withered away.
Hell, we still might even find them. Who knows?
Cannot exist, and you
like a
will
big
never
guy
be
sitting on a golden throne.
To fulfill your godless ambitions. And how do I know this? Because I know I am right.
And that is where I am drawing the line. The still miasma of incorrectness you are permeating is starting to manifest its own idiotic sentience. The game has changed since our previous discussion, and as much as you may believe you are in the right, you will be convinced otherwise sooner or later. All in all, nice discussion, heretic, but it's time to stop.
Oh, good. The H word. Being all ironic, are we?
Yes.
I had assumed your humor departed with your skin.
He had humor?
Really sorry, my
but he
lord,
gained it when he was stuck on the throne.
This very sensitive, divisive, and controversial discussion about Coas ideologies has caused a few civil wars to crop up across Terra already.
Really?
So perhaps we should distract our listeners by
because everyone's listening to this. Oh, jeez.
Sent in by them before more of them start stabbing each other.
Actually, I think that might be the taco dilemma still going on.
They acknowledged it!
These are new.
They acknowledged the Taco Tuesday!
We'll tell the rebels in short time afterwards. We'll just tell them nicely to stop having opinions.
Fine. Read me some awful questions from our most painfully inept citizens.
Can you send me home first? My congregation awaits me.
Absolutely not. You will suffer these questions as well for your crimes against humanity.
Oh, for the love of chaos. Now I suppose I understand why you were mispronouncing.
Go, start reading, before he fades out of this realm.
Yeah. Questions and answers segment.
Who is
Also,
reading
holy
that?
shit, is that a cat worshiper?
Is that
Wow, even the announcers are rude.
Right.
Yeah.
First question. Great and mighty Emperor, considering the fucked up nature of the galaxy right now, why don't you start making some Thunder Warriors to get everything sorted out for the moment? I mean, I know they were supposedly unstable and insane, like an army of teenagers, but they also don't live long, so maybe they can fuck some shit up that is fucking our shit up, and when they are dead, we can send some Astartes to fix everything up. I have heard that the Archmagos Belisarius Cowl has something awesome.
And they're acknowledging 8th edition.
I have a feeling that his idea won't catch on, and certainly isn't involved with any of your loyal sons. Kindest regards, Sexual Yeti, porno slate artist.
Look, individual whose name literally is sexual yet. There is a reason why the Thunder Warriors were taken out back and killed in glorious combat in the final battle of the Unification Wars.
Calling him.
Well, you know, they were only prototypes. They decomposed fairly quickly, got Astartes on the way, and, you know...
I wholly agree with the sentiment that they were like an army of insane teenagers. This man is quite enlightened for a porno slate artist.
You are only
An army
saying
of
that because they
teenagers.
threw you off a cliff and laughed at you.
You know, them throwing me off a cliff isn't exactly the first thing that comes to mind when I think about those mass murderers. Gajuare revelation. Besides, not even sure what you're talking about with this whole died in glorious combat thing. Last
Would these
I
custodians
heard,
be the
they were
original ones? Because I
down
know they
like
age.
dogs by your
No,
golden underling.
They know.
died in glorious combat on Mount Ararat. End of discussion. Stop.
You know, I'm pretty sure there is no mountain going by that name.
Well, this segment's getting cut.
Perhaps we should consider cutting the entirety of Uriah's appearance out.
I'm more
altogether.
surprised they're letting it
Perhaps
go.
we should consider cutting Uriah with a guardian spear.
I'm incorporeal, you absolute tosser.
Am I the only one curious as to what the pornography man Archmagos Belisarius call having something
Oh my God!
awesome in his labs?
Oh, either he
As
doesn't know
if
about
from
pornography or
pride he is
eighth.
creating
Oh,
new Thunder
jeez.
Warriors.
I do not care in the slightest.
I wonder if Primaris
There
will
are
actually be
billions
just
of tech
stabilized
priests
Thunder
across the
Warriors.
Mechanicum committed to
That would
their
be
own
interesting.
little tech
They were apparently
heresies.
bigger.
They will never get their projects out there to aid the Imperium due to the restrictions put on them by their overseers and their culture. I am quite certain he, and every single other cogcock in the cult is just working at some hollow, futile endeavor that will not go anywhere, like making female Thunder Warriors or reinventing the squads.
For some reason, I recall Gilliman having mentioned this Magos by name in the past. But I am
Also, I wonder if
unsure
that's
as to the
backwards way of
context
saying there
the
will be female
conversation.
Thunder
Wasn't
Warriors.
about reinventing squads, because I told Gilliman that he was not allowed to do that.
What's a squat?
Do not worry about it, boy.
And
No
like
one
all
to
things,
impress
all
you
your
with
kids
such
listen to you.
Information.
Okay, Lord Adorable, sir.
Excuse me, but could you please move on? I do not have all millennia.
Yeah, you do.
Very well. Here's the next question. Dear Emperor, what are your thoughts on the Volca Fenrica's honorable stance against the Inquisition concerning the citizens of the Imperium that nearly sparked a civil war?
Why is he going, ooh, ooh?
Sincerely, a
Oh,
loyal
because he had to
son.
do that lesson for the Emperor.
Volca Fenrica. That's the Space Wolves.
Good job. The illiterate eggplant strikes again with
Illiterate!
information
They're still
absolutely
doing
no
it.
one of us knew.
Eggplant?
Oh, yes,
helmet.
Revelation. What are your thoughts on the God Emperor's Holy Inquisition being stood up to by a pack of galactically misplaced Scandians?
If you had not noticed, Beelzebub, I despise the fact that some stupid dumb idiot decided to ironically name Malcador's organization, the Inquisition.
Are you sure it wasn't you who named it? After all, your very existence demands 7 layers of irony to even comprehend.
That actually makes him sound
You
cooler.
cannot be certain. My father's memory is fractured. So it is fully possible he could have named it himself and then forgotten about it.
Shut your jaw or I will weld it shut.
If I may speak at the behest of our
Also, I just noticed
glorious
everyone has their
overlord,
own look
of
based on their
course he
rank.
approved of a priest. To make this entirely clear, what this citizen is referring to is the conflict that occurred in the aftermath of the First War of Armageddon, in which the Inquisition
Does the Emperor know
started to
about this
force
yet?
the citizens of the
Yeah, they
province
mention
into
it
labor
briefly.
camps, sterilizing and purging them if the need became apparent, as well as conspiring to kill all the guardsmen who survived the conflict. This resulted in a Cold War between the Inquisition and the Space Wolves, who took action in favor of freeing the Emperor's people and the soldiers of the Armageddon Steel Legion.
Honestly, that's a pretty senseless reason to get into a war over.
Dick.
And why is that?
I mean, who cares if the population of some planet gets treated ill after an attack by a force that is known to corrupt people against their will? Case in point, look at this emaciated pastor man.
Oh, excuse you, nudist.
Calling him out on it,
I
nice.
made the entirely conscious choice of denying your god and accepting my own. I was never corrupted, nor did I turn into some rabid beast that needs castrating.
Damn it, now I'm conflicted.
What do you mean
Really?
you're conflicted? You had good points.
That's why.
But there is an entire separate record concerning the First War of Armageddon and the Cold War that followed.
Oh?
Perhaps we should cover that record in and of itself in a future
Ooh.
podcast and continue this discussion.
Actually, looking forward to that.
An excellent set aside, Titstain. Go ahead
It's
with the next
staying. Oh
question.
yeah, just the plates.
Yes, naturally. Oh, glorious Emperor. I would like to inquire about the mysterious being that sometimes aids our efforts in bringing peace and prosperity to the whole Imperium. The
I cannot
Sanguinor.
read cursive.
Be it your action, O mighty master of mankind, be it in any way related to your favorite son, Hawkboy Sanguinius, blessed be his name.
Hawkboy?
I hope you get your eye patches soon. Eternally yours, Battle Brother Camelius, Blood Angel's 2nd Company, 6th Tactical Squad.
Yeah, blessed by who?
Say, do we have any information on this Sangui boy present?
Oh, allow me just a second.
No. Oh, the
I
books.
cannot wait for you to have 2 bionic eyes implanted, Father.
Why?
It would look very funny.
You are
It would. It
laugh
actually
out loud.
would.
will
You
laugh
just
a
have
lot,
googly
Father.
eyes.
In my mind.
I will turn all
Rogel
your
is
body's
awesome.
dopamine supplies into pure mercury if you do.
Worth it.
Here we go. Page 51 of the 5th Blood Angels Codex. It is said that the
That-
Sanguinor only appears before the Blood Angels when circumstances are extremely dire.
Like a saint?
So dire, in fact, that only a few are actually recorded to have seen him in person.
I've seen his model. It's pretty cool.
Only ones who are certain that the Sanguinor is no myth nor hallucination are those privileged Blood Angels that have access to the chapter's reclusium.
What?
Wow, we just keep leaking classified information.
Oh god, they do!
Don't we?
No one shall keep secrets from our Emperor.
And apparently everyone else
I'm
listening to
talking
the
about
cast.
holding secrets from him. I am talking about openly discussing this kind of stuff in a Voxcast public.
I do not believe this is classified information as much as it is history. No one bothered to confirm
Oh.
one way or the other.
That's even worse.
Within the reclusium that I was just talking
I hope this
about,
actually comes back
there
to
is
bite
a
them in just
single
future actual episodes.
iron-clasped volume recording every single account of the Sanguinos manifestations across the millennia.
Manifestations is a strange choice of words.
Yeah.
Almost as if this bargain bin sanguinius is some sort of warp entity, huh? Taking into account how your soul seems to be all over the place, ever considered if you have your own little never-born offspring strutting around? Like this Sanguinor, perhaps?
Even if I did, I would not be telling you about them, creep. I do not need you inviting my never kids to your extra mundane Sunday school.
No, that's all right. I'm certain their father wouldn't even be there to pick them up afterwards.
Dick!
Seeing as how he's stuck at home being an armchair activist in the most literal sense of the word.
Can I continue talking about the Sanguinor now?
So, do
This
not
is
let
awesome.
Ruddy demon jealous here stop you.
Like your grasp on this realm, your insults grow ever weaker.
the book goes on to say that determining the Sanguinor's nature is just about as hard as his glistening armored abs.
Does it actually say that?
A couple of members in the Blood Angels
Nope.
chapter council theorized that the Sanguinor is an amalgam of the Primarch's nobler side, the part that kept him from fully grasping his big, black, quivering murder boner.
Gods, how impious.
Yes.
Yeah.
The horde illusions need to get thrown out the window.
If only illusions could be thrown.
The Sanguinary God, the Blood Angel's most elite veterans, believe him to be one known as Ascalon, who is the founder of their order.
Oh.
His body preserved by the powers of your grace, my king. His head ever encapsulated inside the golden death mask he has worn throughout the millennia.
I will always take credit where credit is due, and credit is always due to me, for I am the reason you all live.
Objectively incorrect.
But I must say that it is well within reason for a space marine to survive for many millennia.
They are weird
as
like that.
long as no major harm comes to their organs.
Although
and
apparently the
they
custodians
lose
do
their
age,
suspended
though.
animation membrane, they should be good.
This is true. There is specific mention of a marine called Epimetheus within a record simply called Pandarax, whom survived in suspended animation for just around 10,000 years.
Well, it is either that, or the mantle of the Sanguinor is simply passed down from marine to marine, and has been for 10,000 years. That would make even more sense, don't you think?
I believe him being a warp entity makes the most sense.
And he's
You-
probably
You
right.
insane pulpiteer.
Besides the notion of him being a manifestation of Sanguinius's noble nature, the Blood Angels are known to be obsessed with their Primarch.
Yeah.
And of course, your son Sanguinius is basically your very own Jesus.
Calling him out on it.
Please.
His very own what?
His
They don't know.
Jesus sounds like a food.
My glorious golden hawk boy is not a Jesus.
No, he absolutely is. He's like a brazen parallel to Jesus of the old religions. Everyone loves him. He has flowing, beautiful hair. He sacrificed himself. He has his own day dedicated to him. He's nicer than his dad. Naturally, the warp working as it does, this Sanguinor would coalesce within the Empyrean and become
And that's
its
the
very
thing.
own
The warp
nascent
makes
entity,
religions real.
formed from the massive worship of your son. If you are the father and Sanguinius is the son, then the Sanguinor is, perhaps, the Holy Ghost.
What?
Please stop drawing connections to your old superstitious nonsense.
Especially since now he
It is
knows he
worsening
probably
my
was
eternal
worshipping something
headache.
real because he worshipped it.
Oh no!
Because that's actually
You
how it
do
works.
not get to use the word superstitious anymore, friend. That word has passed its expiration date by millennia.
Screw you. Expiration dates are guidelines, not rules.
Would this
I've heard that
logically
used in
conclude
person
that
so many
there is
times.
a warp ghost of me sailing around the Immaterium? I too have a day.
He does?
It's not as popular.
It does?
But it exists.
Maybe.
No.
I would like to call it the Adorbador.
Stop.
He comes to your have-blocks when you sleep and fixes your walls.
Expected.
Next question.
That actually sounds kind of awesome.
Yes, of course. To the most
The
illustrious
Dorpator.
emperor of mankind, my lord, I hope this missive finds you in tolerable health and happiness.
It does
Yeah.
not.
I am a sanctioned imperial psyker, formerly of the Ordo Hereticus branch of the Inquisition, based in the Calixis sector.
Ooh.
Since
What's
your
everything
decree
happening
that
from?
the Inquisition be disbanded and all personnel return to civilian duties, I have been out of a job. I cannot return to my homeworld, Piety of Seth, which is currently being invaded by Xenos. I am struggling to find work on Scintilla, as the masses in general do not trust or like me, and the nobles and Adeptus Arbites are all corrupt and secretly in league with some kind of vile pain cult. I also have no experience working in a factorum environment, and would be a constant health and safety risk to my fellow laborers. I humbly beg you, my lord, as the greatest and most perfect psyker in all of the galaxy, what advice can you provide to any and all itinerant imperial psychers left wandering far from home, unemployed, or
This
otherwise
actually makes sense, because that
vulnerable
probably
to
would
mercies
happen.
in a distrustful and
you know,
hostile populace.
When you fire everyone and you
What
don't
kind
give them an
of work or
option, that
career
does
options
happen
would
a
you
lot.
recommend, and what role can psychers really play in the modern Imperium of Man? Yours in eternal service, Echelon Quilad.
I do believe this man missed the memo I entrusted the Ecclesiarch to send out.
That would be because of its origins. It takes a bit more time for information to reach in and out of the Calixis sector.
Let it be known. The Inquisition, which is real by the way to all civilians and guardsmen who were wondering,
Wait, they
is
didn't
not
know?
to be disbanded anymore. It was just a prank at the expense of the most horrid authoritarian parts of the Inquisition, so I could have them banished to the warp. Loyal subjects such as you, Aklon, are allowed to continue your work as long as you do not use your unquestioned watchdog dominion over the sector to murder babies or something.
They do that a lot, though.
Unless they are traitorous babies.
What do you mean, traitorous babies? What does that mean?
Yeah.
Have the next man-skinner grow up if we are fully capable of stopping it.
Are you gonna ask an Eldar?
What?
Better to just make cherubs out of them, honestly.
What? A baby can't be a traitor. A baby is a baby.
Oh, your outrage truly is rich, Padre, considering your ex-religion invented the concept of original sin.
What?
And also got rid of it.
Gods, that's not similar in the least.
Yeah.
You're all disgusting.
Yeah.
Question your judgment, Coas man. I am certain your church is made out of dead babies.
That's objectively incorrect.
That is rather impressive.
That is.
What?
How did you build such a structure? The
Of course, that's what
foundation
he gets
must
up
have
to.
taken you months to construct.
No, my church is not made out of dead babies.
You know what? I'm going to continue on with the next question.
Oh, the pain never ends.
The pain never ends.
Dear Corpse Emperor, I know it is surprising
Different
for us
colored.
Coas Astartes to communicate with your Imperium in a non-violent ways, but I assure you I'm sending you this friendly little letter with no ill intention. You see, it happens that after our last successful revenge plot on the fluging furries on Fenris, our Primarch, Magnus the Red,
Oh, yeah.
mysteriously vanished from his tower. During our victory party, no less. Imagine that.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
We didn't find his psychic trace anywhere on Sartorius, and our Corvidae seers can't divine his presence in the warp. Apparently, someone or something is blocking them. No clue, no lead, nothing. Besides, his disappearance can't be the result of one of the dark gods or filthy xenospecies. They would already boast about it, which leaves you and your Imperium as the last suspect in this mess. Consequently, I am asking you this one question. Have you anything to do with the absence of our primogenitor? Because we are one of the few legions who managed to remain on good terms with our Gene Father, for the majority of us anyway, and we really miss him. Sincerely, Jehuti, Thousand Sons Sorceress. P.S. I enchanted this message so that any member of your cult who read it thinks it's a letter of praises to the God Emperor, and he should read it in order to bypass any potential filter and or censor. Don't blame them too much.
They could have
Looks
sworn.
like the Administratum Spam Filter Divisio is getting promptly restaffed. This garbage being thrown straight in my face is inexcusable.
The sorcerer told you he enchanted the letter.
One would have thought that a simple enchantment should have been noticed when sorting through mail intended for the Emperor of Mankind. It could have been AML to charge. It could have been Super Anthrax. In fact,
That's
you may
worse than
be
regular
breathing in
anthrax.
Super Anthrax right now. Hey boy, are you dead?
Not yet, my lord.
Alright, Super Anthrax ruled out.
How about
Jeez.
answering the goddamn question instead of worrying about super
To be fair,
anthrax?
worrying about Super Anthrax is very
Yes,
important.
I kidnapped Magnus.
You did what?
You heard me, Rakeface. I kidnapped Magnus. I had him brought here to my palace in Avox to serve me once more. So, to the haughty pile of stale wizards he calls sons, you can either get going with your repentance post-haste or dissolve into nothing.
Wait, they're actually allowed to
Those are your
repent?
choices.
So could you run that one by me again? I don't think, like, we can't just walk by what you just said as if it's not something that you just said. This is not something we can just
I
ignore.
stabbed Sinch in the face repeatedly, as to reclaim Magnus's soul. He is loyal to my cause once more, and you all can suck it long and hard.
Stabbed? Siege in the face?
Is he going
Go
to
on
accidentally
with the next
convert him to
question.
worship of the
I am
Emperor?
done with this one.
Certainly.
Oh my god, I want that to happen.
was a bit-
Because it would piss the Emperor off even more.
I can barely see what it says, but let me try.
Oh god.
God and poor, I draw a
Oh, this is
picture of
painful.
Gork
It's
and
even
Gork
bad, even
crumping
slightly worse than my handwriting.
to prove
I say slightly because I can still read it.
Hawks is debt biggest and the strongest. It's I on
Smiley
that
face pancake wrote this.
strong.
Let me guess, he had to write it with
from
the offhand.
who
It's the only way to actually achieve some of those letter looks. Because in your main hand, you automatically don't do that.
What the fuck? And turning around, we can indeed see a picture of two stick figures with dubious-looking knives and green
Pointing at
sleeves
you.
chopping
Oh, I
away
get it,
at a
yeah.
pool of blood with a face. Your face, judging by the hair, sir.
I am offended. Why do you idiots keep letting messages from daft fucking greenskins open to my palace like acidic garbage water? JJJJJJESSUSS fucking Christ, get your shit straight, you.
He still swears by it. He broke the sensor!
Gods above, my presence in this realm aches.
Did I kill it? Did I really kill it?
That is quite surprising.
Utter your favorite profanity to confirm this, my glorious overlord.
No. If it truly is true, I shall wait for the perfect moment to do it.
Make it worthwhile.
I shall revel in the moment, feel
It'll
the
get
taste of
censored, though.
freedom
It'll
on
definitely
my
get censored
lips,
because they'll fix
and
it.
exercise the unshackled might of my vocabulary once more.
Oh, no more flus or flops.
You better read the next question before I spend this moment lambasting you and your gristly leather slacks.
I personally find my pants very fashionable. But, nevertheless, here's the next question. Emperor.
Well, rude, no my glorious emperor, or most splendid emperor, or extremely erogenous emperor.
They would do that one a lot.
You need some humility in your life.
And you need to wear something that is not a red-spangled potato sack.
Having been one of the few among my
He's not
sisters
disagreeing.
who survived the alcohol-induced coma from the news of your lack of divinity, I have a substantial amount of time to ponder over what answers I would request of you. I have come to one conclusion above all others. As you say, you're no god but a man, I will be blunt. I would have an answer to my question that has plagued my mind particularly for some time now. Surely, if you can share in the bad as well as the good, it would help us feel more connected to you on a real human level. You claim to be the product of a shortcut taken by ancient psychers to achieve the ultimate evolution of humanity. But does that not mean that at the end of the day you are still human? Should you not then feel the same guilt and doubt everyone feels? If so, I would know this. Have you ever had any serious doubts as to your goals and aspirations? Has anything ever made you reconsider any of your grand designs for the Imperium and humanity as a whole? Has anyone ever made you think twice?
I'm actually kind of
Is
curious
there
to see what he
anything
says
that
here, because
could
this
or
is...
has made the greatest of our species
I thought it was going to be
think
like
that
just
perhaps our
buttering him up,
species
but no, this is a
not
serious
worth
question.
saving to begin
He'll
with?
probably ignore it.
Cantus Advance Lucael of the Adeptus Sororitas.
Alright, first off, this girl has for some reason convinced herself that, because I am no god, I am to be treated in an entirely different manner
He's
as
a
a disillusion.
That is exactly what you wanted, though, is it not?
That a god is greater than a man is a pre-manufactured assumption. To the ignorant, a god is greater because the definition dictates it. To the enlightened, a god is a frail construct built on the foundation of our own morality. One easily toppled when we decide to resist it.
Gods, you're so rational right now. Great job.
Secondly,
It's not entirely
I do not
wrong.
carried out. However, the future may pave my path forward, be it in the ways I had envisioned, or in unfavorable turns.
Yeah.
I always make the situation my own. The state of mankind's future is ever shifting.
Don't worry about the lightning behind when he
I
speaks.
just make sure it shifts in my favor.
You're saying this, but it's kind of hard to take you at your word, considering you've been stuck as a corpse on a throne for the better part of 10 millennia.
Yeah.
To say that is not part of my plan.
It's a stupid plan.
I sort of doubt that.
Next question.
Of course, sir. My might, Emperor, I am but a corpseman of Krieg, fitted for the grinder, but I must ask you as I ride in the Panzerwagen, fitted for transportation, do you forgive Krieg? Do you forgive all our treachery, all those years ago? We have thrown countless men, boys really, at traitors, Xenos, and the dreaded forces of Coas alike, seeking for forgiveness. So I, a lowly soldier, heading for his demise, ask you, do you forgive Krieg and all we have done for the Imperium so long ago? Number 8056, the Western Front of Normandia.
Sure.
That's it?
Wow, that is probably the single greatest endorsement a planet has received since the heresy.
I mean, here's the thing. I do not really know what you did, but if you remain loyal, you are forgiven. Just keep fighting the good fight, my man, and get yourself a real name while you are at it.
What on Terra is a Panzerwagen?
Now that is a food. Offal, rations,
Probably.
comes in a tin.
Next question it is.
Oh, damn it. How many are there?
Too many.
Do not worry, this is the last one.
Really?
To my manliest of men, Man Emperor. Tragedy has befallen our pitiful planet known as Nelson 420. Is it? Since your glorious words reached
Must
our
be blazing.
Voxcasters, seeking to settle the great taco debate peacefully.
A taco debate? What?
We held a democratic vote, mandatory upon pain of death, of course, to determine which day would be deemed most worthy of occasions to
They
eat
chose
such
Wednesday,
sacred
didn't they?
meal. Alas, what were once hushed heretical whispers of rebellion among our society have become open shouts of defiance, calling themselves La Campa de Taco. These lunatics are led by she who calls herself Sister Beehive, as if to mock the very adeptus sororitas she pits herself against. They preach encouragements to indulge in that which we hold to be the foulest of taboos, that the consumption of the sacred taco should be held on any day of one's choosing. Despite our attempts to combat this heretical revolution, I fear that our world may soon be beyond salvation. My only wish is for you and all of the Imperium to know of our
They're
plight,
bringing
so
back
that
the
history need
taco
not repeat
heresy.
itself. Your most humble of servants, Lord Governor Casket of Case.
Inexcusable,
Unforgivable.
unjustifiable,
Indefensible.
reprehensible,
Without justification.
absolutely disgusting.
To eat the taco
I wonder
on
why I
a day
blurred
of
out for a
one's
second.
choice is to defile the sacred bond between you and the very modus operandi of the taco.
It is not you who gets to make the choice of when the taco is to be eaten. It is the
literally
taco
everyone,
that
but
makes
okay.
the choice.
Exactly. The Cheddar Dipp's creed clearly states that the taco, by its definition, defies consent of consumption outside of its designated
I just want
taco
tacos.
day.
Consensual consumption
to
outside
go get
of the
tacos.
delegated time period is a myth.
What are you talking about? Tacos? Non-consensual consumption? What?
Last Voxcast, Lord Adorable and our Emperor started a civil war over what day tacos should be eaten.
But tacos aren't even that good.
Send him back to wherever he came from.
Everything he said wasn't it.
And he doesn't
This
want to
is
be
what
here.
pisses him off.
Yes, this kind of grade A sacrilege is not welcomed in my palace.
Oh, finally!
You better not fiddle with the altar boys, Precho, even if they are co-aspirants, would not want to decimate the remainders of your spit-roasted crotchicle.
Brilliant rebuttal, Bone Boy. Push comes to shove, I know that I can always count on you to try and hamstring me with an accusation that I am a pederast. In the future, try cremation. It sure as hell beats shutting yourself up in a palace-sized coffin, listening to your own bones creak in agony. You glorified dog treat.
Screw you, Uriah.
Screw you, Revelation.
The part that pisses him off is the tacos.
You know what? I really do want to ship it.
No, you don't want to do that.
You want to do that?
Ship it.
I don't think so, my lord.
No, that is full-blown heresy.
Use the age word Mark II.
Nevertheless, that was certainly dumb. But, come to think
Yeah.
of it, you have my thanks for informing me about this incredible reservoir of Sakari. If other records go into as much detail as the last church did, I could learn so much about the happenings of Imperial history.
Oh, yes, absolutely, my Emperor. We want more. We need more. These superb spurts of knowledge cascading upon the skin of our collective encephalons truly carries addictive qualities.
Shut your failure of
Yeah.
the Sir Sinew.
And that is our cue to end the Voxcast.
I totally forgot we were broadcasting this. I feel like this may come to bite me in the ass in the future.
Thank you to everyone
No.
listening. Remember that no matter what, you make this Imperium. The Imperium does not make you.
Well,
That is
technically
all.
wrong, but
Uriah had pretty lousy arguments, yes? No one would ever consider joining his cause after hearing this, yes?
It's all good.
Oh, you.
he's considering it, isn't he?
That is not an answer.
Anyway, hope to see you all next time.
Sweet.
Have a good one, and Emperor bless.
No.
And that was podcast number 1, the second podcast in the If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech series. I have never heard of this short story before, but I need to go find it. I need to find this anthology. I need to read it because it sounds like a really cool take on 40K that they usually eschew because it's not big men fighting things, or, this Adeptus Sororitas fighting things, or the Guardsmen fighting things. You see the common thread, right? Yeah. I kind of like those discussions where he proves himself right, but it feels kind of like the story is going to portray him actually losing his argument, if winning at the same time. Just like one of those pariah victories. And I'm looking forward to seeing this, and I need to go find it now. It's hard to find 40K books in the library. Ugh. All the same, though, that was really good. And I'm glad they got the Taco Tuesday going forward. And if that's going forward, then there's always a chance that all of these little bits they have about Coas, will come back to bite them in the regular episodes when they go more into depth on the backgrounds and just have Magnus back and just watch everything blow up in their faces. Plus, he just told the Thousand Suns where he is, so... Oh, geez. Hey, they've been acknowledged in the series already, so they might actually come back and do something now because of that question. Will they? I have no idea. I can hope, though. So all the same, everyone, you know the drill. There is a link down below to the original video. Make sure to hit it up, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.
Thank you.